Hello and welcome to State of the Economy. Today we have with us Mr. Sudhir Krishna, former Secretary Urban Development, to discuss with us the biggest and most publicized project of the NDA government, which is cleaning the 2,500 kilometer long Ganga River. It's a lifeline for over 50 million people. We have invited Mr. Krishna because as Urban Development Secretary, he has gone into details of the cleaning of Ganga, sewage treatment in the urban spaces around Ganga. So to discuss that, we have Mr. Krishna in our studios. Welcome, Mr. Sudhir Krishna.
Thank you.
Now, it is such a humongous project. You don't know where to start. Recently, the Supreme Court was not very satisfied with the affidavit submitted by the government. And they said it may take 200 years to clean Ganga if we go at this pace. So you have been very closely associated with this project as Urban Development Secretary. How do you look at this?
I believe that it's not really a problem that cannot be solved. On the aggregate, it is indeed an issue which seems to be too large, that over 6,000 million liters of sewage being generated per day.
And treatment capacity for only about 1,700 million.
Exactly, and similarly solid waste also of similar order being generated and hardly anything being properly recycled, and seems to be quite a complex problem.
Okay, currently we have a treatment capacity for 30% of the sewage that we generate, right?
Yes.
So for remaining 70%, there is no sewage treatment capacity. Okay.
No, capacity can be developed. Today technology is available of all orders. But the issue is that whether whatever we have done, let us review that.
Okay.
And it appears that this model of sewage treatment plants of the order of 100 million liter a day and so on, these are not going to help us.
Okay.
We have to work on decentralized models.
Okay.
At aggregate level, because sewage doesn't go from one end of the Ganga to other end. I mean, it has to be resolved locally only.
Yeah.
So aggregation can be statistically okay, but we must work
Even every city that it passes through should deal with the whole sewage treatment problem.
Yes. And Ganga is not clean because it is accepting a lot of waste, both solid waste as well as the sewage. So therefore, we have to prevent the sewage from entering Ganga in the first instance.
Okay.
And the solid waste also should not enter Ganga.
Yeah. And industrial effluents also.
Industrial effluents as well. And therefore, the cleanliness of the city is the primary requirement.
Okay.
And that will automatically make clean Ganga. Rather than Ganga being cleaned and the city keep on, releasing the waste into Ganga, it's not going to work anymore.
Okay.
Because
so there's a need to delink river from the sewer.
Yes,
right?
Yes. Yeah. And even the cities are also becoming very big. And cities cannot handle a singular project. Even, 100 MLD project, 200 MLD projects are not going to work anymore.
Okay.
Because cities are
100 MLD as in 100 million liters per day of sewage. You can't have a treatment plant that big.
No, you can have, theoretically, you can construct a plant of that size.
But it will have other problems.
Other problem means the carrying pipeline will become bigger and bigger.
Okay.
The roads are more or less the same.
You need more land to establish such
the plant, number one.
Big plants.
Yes, and the roads will have to be dug up. Very wide portion of the road will have to be dug up.
Which is not possible in these dense cities around the Ganga.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then you have to take from household, the sewer line has to be connected finally to the trunk line.
Okay.
Yeah, it's another challenge. And therefore, and then where you set up the sewage treatment plant, you require 20 acres to 50 acres of land on the outskirts of the city.
I want to ask you, can you find 30 acres of land, say in Varanasi, to build a treatment plant which takes care of 100 million liters of sewage a day? Is this possible? You are from Varanasi, therefore I am asking you.
Yeah. No, and not only that I am from Varanasi, I have visited this project in the month of June. And I find that they are in mess now, and many cities are like that. Varanasi is a typical example. Why? Because no resident would today like to have a STP or solid waste landfill in his backyard.
Okay.
Yeah, no resident. It may be so-called village. We may call it a village, and we cannot take a village for granted.
What is the population in Varanasi roughly?
Now I think it is about 12 lakh population.
So you're dealing with the waste generated by 12 lakh people.
It cannot be. You cannot take it to a singular place. I mean, we are talking of sewage first, and we can talk of solid waste, and then industrial waste subsequently.
Okay.
So this they have designed the plant. The pipelines are practically laid
In Varanasi?
in Varanasi.
Okay.
But where the STP will be set up, plant will be set up, that land people are protesting now.
Okay.
Now you have to divert the terminal point. You have to. How is it possible now? And moreover.
And you're saying that in Varanasi, the connection from the house to the main
sewer line
has not been established.
Yes, it has not been.
For that, you'll have to dig up the bulk of Varanasi.
It will not going to work. So this whole model, because the cities around Ganga are old cities. Okay. There are hardly new cities that have come around Ganga. Yeah. These are all hundreds and even thousands of year old cities. Again, Varanasi is a typical example. We talk of Kanpur, we talk of Allahabad, or so many other cities are there. They are like that. So we cannot change the city's layout overnight. They will remain. So the only solution is decentralized plants, which is of the order of, I would say, about half to 1 million liter a day capacity. They require just about quarter acre of land. They require money of the order of 1 to 2 crore rupees for setting up. Their operational cost is of the order of, I would say, about 50 lakh rupee a year is the operational expenses. And the recycled water can be used in the same locality. Once you put up a very large plant, suppose we are recycling 100 million liter of water a day, what will you do with that recycled water?
Okay.
It cannot be used for irrigation so easily, because the land is surrounding these areas are not all irrigated lands. They are residential areas. And if you develop, like in Delhi, they are using the recycled water, not very well recycled, but whatever it is, it comes all the way back from the recycling plant. And then whole city has got a distribution network, which is quite a costly affair in today's. When cities are expanding, your pipeline will go farther and farther. The farther it goes, the diameter will have to go bigger and bigger. And the return side also same thing. Why we are spending so much money? And there's some breakdown at one point, the whole city gets disrupted. So decentralized, localized plants are easy to set up, easy to operate, financially more viable.
And they bring the water back into the town rather than get connected to the river, right?
Yes, and the recycled water need not be put into the river at all. There is a theory that water should be recycled and put back into the river by making good standard water. Now let me put it other way around. If we don't put the recycled water in the river and use it up, then we reduce the requirement of potable water to that extent. You know, we supply water at the level of 100 to 120 liter per day, per head, which means 500 liter of water per family on an average. It's a large quantity. But you don't drink 500 liter of water. Can a family drink that? No. They just consume about, say, 5 to 10 liter a day, including cooking and so on.
Drinking water.
Drinking water. You drink about, you see, a couple of liter of water you directly drink, then cooking and so on. Most of the usage is for non-potable purposes. So therefore, recycled water, if it is used for non-potable purposes, which is the 70 to 80% of our requirement. You know, many people have got...
Through this small decentralized plants.
Absolutely.
Rather than the big one. Where there will be difficulty in plowing that water back into households.
Exactly. Also. It doesn't work out. In Delhi, they are doing that.
So do you think that in Varanasi, they made a mistake by setting up such a huge 100 million liter a day sewage treatment plant?
Yes, it is a learning lesson, I would say. And it is not only Varanasi. Every city is doing like that.
Every city is good?
Yes, 100 million liter is the standard today. And if 100 crore, it is very attractive to, you get a big newspaper item, that 100 crore project sanctioned. But if it is a 50 lakh project, may not attract much attention. But let us forget about attention and publicity. Let us work on what is realistically possible. And I'm not saying...
And how much is a small, say 1 million liter sewage treatment plant decentralized, in a decentralized way, if you set up, it will cost less and it will occupy less land,
right? Yes, it cost will be nominally more in terms of economy of scale, but theoretically, the large plant will cost slightly less. But it doesn't work out. So we are talking of what cost? I mean, it doesn't work out at all large plant. But even so, let us take nominal cost also. A 100 million liter plant will cost about 100 to 120 crore rupees. Say about a crore of rupee per million liter. And a small plant will cost about 1.5 to 2 crore rupee. But operationally it is 100% viable. This is very, very major problem. And then you don't use the trunk line also. You don't spend so much money on, you don't require a super chief engineer for a decentralized plant. A local guy can manage it very well.
The panchayat can
manage. Yes, panchayat can manage very well.
But tell me, have you, while you were in the bureaucracy, you retired only recently, right? 3 months ago. was there any purchase for this idea, decentralized approach? And does this government, the new government, which is now making a lot of noise about cleaning Ganga, is it thinking of this decentralized approach as a parallel solution?
You see, decentralized models are built in the bylaws of municipalities. Okay. At the insistence of the Ministry of Urban Development, the bylaws have been amended that if any layout is approved, it must have a sewage treatment plant.
Okay.
But having done that, it has not been pursued because it was left to the states to do. So parallelly, the small local STPs are there in the new layouts, and a large pipeline is also flowing. So people forget about the localized plant and start using, because much easier to connect and then start blaming the gel board and so on that they are not doing and so on.
So the blame game will start.
Exactly. So therefore what we did was we set up a plant. Actually where I live in New Moti Bagh, we set up a plant. It was already there but defunct plant. Just
in Delhi? Yeah, okay.
In Delhi, New Moti Bagh. Like every new layout, a decentralized plant of the capacity of about 0.7 million litre per day was set up. But it was set up for namesake only, that for approval of layout, that is what everywhere it is going on.
Yeah.
Then we found that water was a problem because a lot of green, in Delhi is very green, you require a lot of water to greening the plant. You require 3 to 4 times water for your plant than for yourself. And you cannot let the plant die. You have to, construction.
So you managed to...
Yeah, and then that 0.7 million litre plant is generating 0.5 to 0.6 million litre per day recycled water.
Okay.
Whole area is kept clean and green.
So it's a successful experiment.
Successful experiment, and we are not taking so much water from the municipality, saving the clean water also.
Okay.
It's a win-win situation. It's a win-win situation. So it is high time that we talk of decentralized model. But I must say that this decentralization of project will have to be coupled with decentralization of governance also.
Yeah, we'll come to this, but after a small break. Please don't go away and keep watching RSTV. Welcome back to State of the Economy. We are speaking to former Secretary Urban Development, Mr. Sudhir Krishna, on the Ganga cleaning project, which he has been associated with. Mr. Krishna, you rightly said that we need a decentralized governance system also to deal with this humongous problem of cleaning the Ganga. 2,500 kilometers it flows from Gangotri to right up to Diamond Harbour, Bengal.
Yes.
Now, how can a decentralized governance system be put in place? Because as we currently see, the Ganga Authority is all at the center. They have created a new department, and it seems to be all the noise is coming out of the center. There hasn't been much discussion about this whole issue at a decentralized level with panchayats, etc., where really the action will be. Going by what you're saying, if you're setting up smaller plants, then you have to involve the panchayats, right?
Absolutely.
And smaller municipal authorities.
Yes.
So how does it work? I mean, you've been a bureaucrat for so many years. Please tell us. You've worked at the state level. You've worked at the center.
Also in the panchayat also.
In panchayat level, please.
So it's actually very simple. It is so simple that it seems complex. It is so very simple. And the simple thing is that if we have decentralized projects, then these are very simple in terms of technology, in terms of operations. They don't require chief engineer level officers to either construct or even to maintain. It's very easy. Local junior officers can manage, and local vendors can be roped in. Then local economy will thrive. That is one part. Secondly, the planning has to be integrated. The planning for sewage treatment has to integrate with the rest of the planning for the city. It cannot be the sewage treatment plant cannot be in isolation. Otherwise, what happens that to lay...
So you can't have one vertical looking at sewage treatment plant and not talking to the other verticals.
And the vertical is such a problem that the moment we centralize the decision making, then line ministry, say tourism ministry, having its own plan for Ganga cities, tourism promotion, environment ministry has its own plan, and say urban development ministry, rural development ministry, or drinking water supply ministry, everybody. So how to integrate the whole thing? Integration is possible at the local level, and integration is fairly easy also.
Tell us how.
It is the formulation is like this, that there has to be an integrated city plan, which will have all the components, and all funds must flow in terms of that city plan only, not a vertical plan.
Not something coming from Ministry of Environment,
Yes.
something coming from Ganga
Exactly.
Department
Yes,
at the
yes,
center,
yes,
something
yes.
coming from somewhere else.
Yes, the basic parameters will be that the city plan, what we can call it a city beautification plan, city sanitation plan, city development plan, the name can be formed up.
Okay.
But the output will be that the city will recycle entire waste within itself.
Okay.
The city will not let out any garbage or any sewage or any industrial waste outside its perimeter.
Okay.
There is no way it will be sending out.
So that should be the city's responsibility,
Yes, yes.
and it should own up that.
Yes, and in that
project.
it will say that, okay, this part will come from this ministry, that part will come from Y ministry, and so on and so forth. And then funds flow through for that plan only. And therefore monitoring also becomes a responsibility of that body. And this body cannot be the municipality alone. It has to be the regional planning body.
Okay.
It is because there is no city which lives in terms of issues like solid waste or sewage for itself or by itself. It is impacted by the neighboring areas also. The panchayats just outside the city, they influence the city and vice versa.
Okay.
So therefore the city and surrounding area put together is what is notified as a planning authority or development authority area.
Okay.
That is the right body to
Okay.
prepare a development plan or a city sanitation plan, which will be the only way. And it is not a very complex thing, you know. The moment you tell the local people, look here, these are the basic technologies available, and you develop a plan where you will recycle everything and reuse everything, I am sure they will be proud to do. And
So this would require, in a way, this would require some coordination between the municipal authority of a small town
Yes, yes.
and the panchayats
Yes, yes.
around that
Yes,
town, right?
yes,
So
yes.
they have to come together.
They come together in the planning authority or development authority. They are on the board of that.
Okay.
All the planning, the city corporation commissioners or mayors and the panchayat chairpersons or their representatives, they are on this body.
Okay.
And they realize that, okay, unless, because the sewage, for example, from you set up an industry outside the city, finally the sewage will come into the city only.
Correct.
Into the river only. Through nala and through tributaries, it will come to that only. So therefore, everybody has to work in tandem. And that is the only way. And it is a very cost-effective and governance-effective solution, which we have to work at that. But, as I said, it is very, very simple, rather so simple that it may not be believable in the beginning.
Yeah.
But it does work. It will work also. And same will be for the...
But how hasn't it, why hasn't it
cotton.
caught on? Why hasn't it been tried out all these decades?
It has not, because you said earlier about verticals, you know, since we are working in verticals, so all organizations, tourism department will not depend so much on municipality and panchayat. They will have their own assistant director of tourism and regional tourist officers and so on. They will work through them. And so people will not be, everybody cannot go to municipality again and again and again.
Did you try to push this idea when you were Secretary Urban Development and this problem came before you?
Yes. Now, we have said that. In fact, there is a guideline called Urban Development Plan Formulation and Implementation Guide, UDPFI. We have changed the name to urban and regional. Regional word. Urban must be removed by the word and regional must come to fore. And this was finalized, and I am told that it is being notified in the next couple of weeks' time. So regional planning should overtake city planning and the village planning. That is the fundamental now we have realized, and I am sure it will be acceptable to government also formally.
And you spoke about how verticals don't talk to each other, and you mentioned that in Varanasi also, there is a huge problem about verticals not talking to each other, is it?
See, verticals don't talk not because they don't want to. It doesn't work out because they are working in a different time frame.
Give us some idea what's happening in Varanasi.
Yeah, it is like, the environment and forest ministry has got their own Ganga projects, sanction funds are there, which they are, same for Kanpur also, for example. And then urban development ministry has got its own support, financial support program for that. Then tourism ministry has got its own. Then the World Bank and similar bodies, they are also chipping in their might, And you see a lot of brochures and a lot of conferences, workshops, which I had attended also, organized by these bodies as well. And they are all, they gather, but they gather on that date, everybody is together. But once the conference is over, they all start, naturally, they have to work in their own world. And in a regular way, they don't work together. So in the conference, they make a pious resolution that we work together. But systemically, they are not involved, So systemic involvement. And therefore, and the other option is National Ganga River Basin Authority, chaired by the Prime Minister. So it is supposed that all ministries will work together. but they work together during the authority meeting. Then they go back and naturally they are all busy in their work.
So it's a case of too many intellectuals pulling in different directions.
Yes, in the systemically we have to integrate things at the ground level.
Okay.
At the ground level, city level, which I say regional level. That's the difference, a small difference, we have to work on that.
Okay.
And we tried it effectively in case of bus funding, for example, when the buses were, not different, little different from, but at essence it is the same regional planning. Earlier, within the first round of buses under JNNURM, it was sanctioned only for the city. But we found that people come to the city from just outside the city also. Okay, and vice versa. Some industrial units are set up outside the city.
So we have to recognize that the outside the city also there is influence and the people are involved.
Yes.
Now coming back to the river Ganga, you were saying that there's one problem, of course, is treating sewage at the source and not letting it go into the river.
Yes.
Industrial affluents also not letting it go into. The other big problem is the flow of the river.
Yeah.
Now, it has been said that only when a river flows, you maintain the flow, that some of the toxicity or some of the the pollution actually comes down.
Yes.
But historically, we have in some ways killed our rivers by building barrages, right?
Yes.
So, where is that problem? How do you reverse that?
See, for Ganga, fundamentally, this is one of the fundamental problems. As the government have also in their documents have said, Aviral Ganga and Nirmal Ganga. Aviral part has also to be seen as to how to make the river flow adequate and continuous. We have dammed the Ganga everywhere.
Is the flow reduced so much that it's come to dangerous levels?
Absolutely. I mean, in Yamuna, for example, you see there are reaches when there is no water some part of the year. There is no water at all. After that part, when tributaries bring some water, then Yamuna gets water. And similar is the case of other rivers, including Ganga also. It is tributary which bring life here and there. When you see Ganga at some places having water, but if you travel upstream some kilometers, you will find no water or very little water. So this, because we have dammed Upper Ganga, Madhya Ganga, Lower Ganga, Farakka barrage, and then Tehri Dam, and so on and so forth. Where is the water in the river? So just by not letting water, dirty water in it is one part, but it is absolutely insufficient, inadequate to resolve the problem. We have to think of augmenting the flow, availability of water in Ganga. That must be there. Lack of water brings silting up of the issue of silting up. Silting up of the river bed means flooding. Whenever there is a heavy rain, we face the issue of flooding also. So the solution lies in making Ganga having more water throughout the year. Now the solution has to be found.
Can there be a balance between adequate flow as well as doing some small dams for irrigation and other purposes?
Yes, it is. It is possible. It is possible. And in olden time, when population pressure was less, people's requirement was less, agricultural productivity was less, perhaps more water could be diverted for irrigation. Now things are changing, and we have to use the irrigation water also very judiciously. We should grow crops which don't take so much water, or wherever water is to be taken, whether we can go in for sprinkler, drip irrigation or other water conservation measures, so that water dependence on water for irrigation. In fact, too much irrigation also is bad. But since irrigation water is practically free, so people do not mind using more and more water. And so these are the challenges for flow of the water.
Flow of the water.
Yes, that is a very critical issue. Yeah.
So thank you very much, Mr. Sudhir Krishna. I hope some of your ideas reach the right places. That's all we have in this edition of State of the Economy. We'll be back with you next week. Thanks for watching.